I did a radio interview, Mike, this morning with you guys at WBEN, and Brian mentioned on the radio that we're hoping, not I'm hoping, but we as a community are hoping that justice will be done today. And I found that statement very, very true. That it wasn't about winning or losing here. It wasn't. Brian didn't say that Mr. Flynn is looking forward to win today. Okay, he said that Mr. Flynn's looking forward to justice today, and that's what this is all about. When we try cases here in this office, it's not a matter of winning or losing. We're not the Buffalo Bills or Buffalo Sabres here, where we're keeping records here of wins and losses. We are about justice. That's the bottom line. That's what Colleen does each and every day. That's what all of my homicide prosecutors, even my petty larceny prosecutors, all right, down to the lowest level of crimes here in Erie County. We're here to give justice to not only victims of crime, but to the community at large. And I think that all of you know that back in July of 2018, there was a sense of outrage in this community. There was a sense of outrage here in the city of Buffalo by the death of a grandmother and her just shy of 17-month-old grandson. And all the community leaders, from the mayor of Buffalo to Reverend Pridgeon, to members of the Fruit Belt Coalition, to clergy members throughout the city of Buffalo, all expressed outrage at this senseless and horrific crime. And today, the city of Buffalo got justice. Not just the family members, not just us here in the DA's office, but today the entire city of Buffalo and our entire community got justice by the guilty verdict of Mr. Austin here to 2 counts of intentional murder, along with 2 counts of the assault on the 2 individuals who were also shot that early morning hour and survived, as well as the gun charge. So obviously I want to commend Colleen. I want to commend the Buffalo Police Department for the great work that they did. I want to commend Ashley Morgan from my office, who is on vacation with her kids today over winter break here, and who just did a phenomenal job here in prosecuting this case and bringing justice to all of us. I also want to commend the 2 witnesses who came forward and testified. We had 2 women come forward during this trial who not only took the initial courageous step to notify the Buffalo Police Department of what they knew, but also to come in here to open court and testify. They did that knowing that the information that they were going to provide was going to potentially put a murderer away for the rest of his life. And they still did it anyway. And so those 2 women need to be commended as well. Any questions?
About how much time do you think with these 5 counts, these 5 guilty counts, will he be facing?
Well, he'll be at the max, he's going to be facing life in prison. I mean, so hopefully he gets life. At the back end, obviously. What's
64.
64 is a bottom number. Okay, I mean, so it'll be 64 to life. Yeah.
Could you talk about the difference between what it means to go from intentional versus the depraved indifference?
Yeah, they are 2 different. They are the same level of crimes. They are both murder in the 2nd degree level of penal law offenses. They are just 2 separate legal theories. The intentional murder is the intent to kill someone. Now, in this case here, there's 2 twists to that. All right. The first twist to it is that he was charged, all right, under the accomplice liability theory, which is section 20 of our penal law, where he acted in concert with others, okay? The second twist is that it was a transferred intent. No one's claiming he meant to kill the little boy or the grandmother, okay? You know, the intent was to shoot at and kill someone else, and they just happen to get hit in the crossfire. So it's a transferred intent, but it's still intent for the legal purposes. So that's the intentional murder charge there. The depraved indifference is basically, in layman's terms, a complete disregard for human life. So if someone, in this case here, shoots into a crowd of people, all right, you just have a complete disregard for human life. You have a depraved indifference to human life. And that was that legal theory there. Now, the judge didn't even need to address that legal theory once he concluded that they were guilty of the intentional murder. So the intentional murder was the first count. The first two counts was two dead bodies. So once he found guilt on the intentional murder, there was no reason to even go to the depraved indifference. It was, you know, theoretically, you could have found intentional murder, say, on the grandmother, and then depraved indifference on the grandson. Theoretically, I mean, it would never have happened, okay? But if you want to be law school nerd here, okay, you know, we can get technical here, all right? So theoretically, you could have both, but in reality, it was a either or. It was either intentional or depraved indifference, and once he came guilty on intentional, that was the end of the equation.
If he was working in concert with others,
yes.
Do you have these others? Are they on your radar?
They're on our radar. We don't have them though. Yeah, we don't. They're on our radar. But you know, as of right now, we do not have the evidence to charge anyone else, and we're still working though.
What is your message to the community on that?
Well, my message to the community is that, again, if you know anything, if you have any information that could help us out, let us know. My message to the community is that in this case right here, I had two brave individuals who said enough is enough. We all talk about this no snitch mentality that's out there, all right? But in this case right here, there was also a mentality of enough is enough. And in this case right here, we had individuals who said enough is enough, more so than I'm not going to snitch. And so hopefully hopefully that permeates throughout the entire community here. Hopefully that permeates in every case I have going forward. Is it going to? Probably not, all right? But I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that this sends a message that individuals can come forward and know that they are going to be standing up for enough is enough.
Have any of your prosecutors at this point had any conversations with Kenyatta Austin himself about possibly outing others in this process?
I can't comment on that at this time.
What can you say about the East Ferry indictment against Kenyatta? He's apparently charged in another murder. It was said in open court.
Yes, Mr. Kenyatta is also facing another potential homicide charge. Okay, at this time, the case hasn't gone to fruition yet, so I don't want to comment on it this time. But yes, he is charged with another murder.
Do you have the basic information of just when that murder?
Yeah, I get that to you. Yeah,
We put out a release over the summer.
yeah, I get it. Yeah.
There was a witness that was referenced in the beginning of the trial that didn't end up
Correct.
testifying.
Correct.
And can you speak to that?
Yeah, I mean, so obviously, I'm very disappointed that that witness, quite frankly, didn't have the courage that these two women had. That witness, moved to Las Vegas. That witness basically said that he was afraid to testify, and it's, I understand that. I recognize there is fear in doing this. I recognize that, it's easy for me to say when I'm sitting up here in my 7th floor office and I got, metal detectors coming into my building here, and I got 15 investigators in my office here, and I got armed security downstairs. Yeah, it's easy for me to say that everyone should come and testify, but so I recognize that there is a dangerousness here. Okay, I recognize that it's not easy to do this. All right, but sometimes in life you have to do the right thing, and as I've told you before, I have ways that I can help protect you. All right, I have things that I can do to protect you to a certain extent. But whatever protection mechanisms that I have, at the end of the day, you still have to have the courage and the moral compass to do the right thing, to agree to come into court and testify. And we had two brave individuals who were willing to do this. The defendant's girlfriend and another woman who overheard some conversations going on, and then we have an individual who didn't want to do that.
Was the witness testimony, but both of them, is that what, do you think, what made the case successful?
Obviously it helped tremendously. I mean, obviously their testimony was a huge factor. There was also a lot of other circumstantial evidence in the case, that also helped, I think, take it over the top. But yeah, no, those two witnesses' testimony was extremely important.
Speaking of that circumstantial evidence, a lot of the case was based on that, as was brought out in open court. How difficult was it to actually prosecute at times, because you painted a picture that there was a crime, and you could put Mr. Kenyatta's phone records and the girlfriend's E-ZPass, but because nobody actually ever saw him do it, how difficult was it? You couldn't place him at the scene of the crime. Yeah,
Mark. I mean, obviously, in a perfect world, you want to have an eyewitness, a good eyewitness, who can say, "Yeah, I saw Joe Smith, pull the trigger right there." That's your best evidence, obviously. Along with DNA evidence. In this case, we had a weapon that was obviously recovered from Mr. Austin, but we couldn't definitively, through ballistic evidence, prove that that was a weapon that was used. So there was circumstantial evidence surrounding that weapon, though. There was, like you said, circumstantial evidence from the E-ZPass records, from his cell phone records. There was circumstantial evidence from the video that showed the cars, driving around Grape and around the Peach Street area there, all right? So, yeah, obviously circumstantial evidence cases are much more difficult to prove than when you have, a eyewitness or great DNA evidence. But that's just a testament to Colleen and Ashley and the Buffalo Police Department for putting all that circumstantial evidence together, having that picture that you said you agree with, that we painted, and in this case, fortunately, we were able to paint a portrait that reached the level of beyond a reasonable doubt.
Have you spoken at all to the family members about the outcome today? I know it's only been a couple of minutes, truly, between now and then.
I anticipate that Kim Rapp, who is our victim advocate on our homicides, she's been with the family, the whole time here. Okay, so she's with them right now, I'm assuming.
But they haven't conveyed any message.
Yeah,
to
I
you
know. I
about
haven't
how
talked to them.
they're-
No. I came. I came right now. They said thank you.
They said thank you.
They
They were very pleased. So.
Thank you.
Considering there are still suspects out there that you don't know about, have they conveyed their concerns regarding that?
Well, obviously, the entire community, including the family, knows that there were more than one person involved here. I mean, there were multiple different shell casings that were found in the ground at the scene. Okay, so it's no secret that that there were others involved. The family knows, though, that we continue every day to look for them, and that we will not rest until they are all found and brought to justice, like Mr. Austin. We have one individual now who has been brought to justice. There are others to go, and like I said, we're not going to rest until we find them.
Any concern about his safety, considering
Mr.
what
Austin's
he
safety?
might know?
Oh yeah, I mean, Mr. Austin obviously, he made his own bed, and well, I obviously don't want to see anything happen to Mr. Austin. Mr. Austin, has been found, now been found guilty of murder, and Mr. Austin will have to deal with that now going forward. I do not wish anything ill upon him. I should take it back. The only thing ill I wish upon him is that he spends every day of his life in jail. So beside that, I don't wish any more ill on him.
Any other questions? There's still a reward, right? Isn't there a pretty substantial reward for the other people?
Yeah. I'm not sure what it's up to now. It was the FBI and Crime Stoppers had a pretty big number though at one point. Yeah.
With him facing 64 to life in prison, would you be willing to work with him if he was willing to work with you for information?
I don't know.
I don't know how that works.
I would sit here. If he was willing to come forward now and talk to us, all right. Put it this way, I would listen to him. That's as far as I'm going right now. I would listen to him, and then I'd go from there.